Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeChara coming to you live from downtown Flushing. No, sorry, correction. I'm not in Flushing anymore. I just told Jennifer that I moved. Joe DeChara, CPA, coming to you live from downtown Bethpage, New York. I'm back on Long Island where I grew up, and we are here for another amazing Bedrock Business Builders interview with this pretty young lady sitting next to me. Jennifer Loading. Is that right?
That is correct.
Jennifer Loading. All right. Thank you for joining us. Like most of my guests, we barely even know each other. We never spoke. You were handpicked by my team, so uh, you must have something to share with us. And I know that you're going to talk about slaying the day. And,
Yeah.
and I try to I yeah, it sounds interesting. So who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I love that you said, we don't always know each other when we jump on these podcasts. You and I are both fellow podcasters and we know how this goes. But I always say sometimes the best conversations derive from not knowing the people that are on the other end of the mic. Those are the best ones that happen. So anyways, yeah, I'm a mindset coach. My background is I was in the network marketing space for a long time, was a director in a company, a middle management leader. And about, I guess, 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare nerve condition that completely turned my life upside down. And so that kind of sent me on a journey. And, I always say this is the abridged version of it. But during that journey, I recognized a couple things about myself going through business that, I had this repeated pattern of chasing crises and goals. And if I wasn't doing one, I was in the other. And so through that journey, I recognized there were things that I was doing within my own life that were actually sabotaging not only my personal life, but my business. And so that really prompted me to get in and start figuring out where are things that I could, that I could change, things in my life and my habits that I could change that could not only affect my personal life and get me better and heal, but also enhance my business and make me more productive in the business world. And so I talk about slaying the day as being those things we do in our lives that we can do consistently that can enhance not only what we're trying to do in our careers, but also in our entire life. So that's how we're here.
Okay. So that's interesting. It's like, there's no coincidences because what you're talking about, I think, is exactly what I could use right now. Because like I said, I just moved from Flushing, New York to Long Island to be near my kids. I have three kids and three granddaughters.
Okay.
And I'm so off my game because all of my good habits that I had there, getting up, doing my exercise, I'm like, all my stuff is still in boxes.
Yeah.
So how can you help me?
Okay. Well, well, first of all, I will say this. I think we all have those moments where we're like doing really, really well. And then all of a sudden life just goes amok, and things happen and we just get off course. And I'm not immune to that. I mean, I say this all the time. I get really, really busy and it's very difficult, to get all those pieces in. But I always talk about, there's, if you ever read like what is it, the 7 Habits of the Highly Effective, you probably have read
Uh,
that book. Yes. Yes. There are a lot of things that we talk about, that you can do that are effective. But I talk about some of those, and some of these I wrote in my book. I talked about them in my book, and then later on, as I went through my journey, I say journey, I'm not done. I think our journeys are always ongoing, right? There were more that I felt like I needed to add to this. So I keep joking that I need to enhance, do it like a 2.0 on this book and write more.
Wait,
Um,
what's the name of the book?
the book is Beat the Toughest Obstacles, and it's all about my journey, what I went through and how I recovered and what I learned in the process of that.
Okay, it's available on Amazon? How do we get it?
It's on
All right.
Amazon.
So
Yeah.
before we leave, if you could put that in the chat,
Okay.
because sometimes I buy this stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll
So,
inspire you to be great. That's what it's all about.
well, it's just, and this isn't the first time it's happened to me. That where I had to change my environment, or even when I went, I used to travel a lot to California. I'm in New York. I used to like every month. and I would go and stay at a hotel. And it was just when I came back, getting back into the habits.
Right.
So how do you stay in your habits, if that's a
Yeah.
question?
No, it is
Or
a question. It is a question.
okay.
Go ahead. What were you going to say? What was the rest?
No, I mean, because it's just changing. You know, I don't know if I just get off track, if it's me, if it's normal, but it's not easy. It takes a
Well,
long time to develop good habits. Even cooking. Now, this is a good. I mean, I had my whole kitchen there, and now I'm in a different environment. There's a different kitchen. It's yeah.
yeah. Well, I think, this goes kind of, did I lose you? Can you hear me okay
No, I
still?
can hear you. I
Okay,
can
good.
hear you.
All of a sudden it got weird. My mic got weird. I think this goes really deep into a couple things. One, building discipline, obviously, as we know, but also, overcoming limiting beliefs. There's like several conversations here, but, there's things that I talk about that are important. And one of being, a lot of people don't understand the power of doing a to-do list. They don't even really understand that. They'll say, well, I've done that and it hasn't worked. And it's because maybe their to-do list doesn't have the most effective things. Like they're not putting the most important things on that list, or they're putting things that aren't bringing healthy habits or income producing activities to them. They're putting things like, let me make sure I've got, toilet paper in the bathroom, It's like, we got to get important things on that to-do list. But I talk about that, really making that a priority, being the first thing. Also,
Really?
be,
Wait. To have a to-do list.
yes, having a,
I have like this to-do book. I
hey,
mean, I actually
look,
it's become like a. Oh, cool. Okay.
yes,
So
I use a spiral. I always have a spiral notebook and I flip the page every day. It was something that is, here's what I tell people about the to-do list. A lot of times, and this is, we'll go through and do our day and we don't really feel like we've accomplished a lot because we'll look at all the things we didn't get done. Like maybe we didn't exercise, or maybe we didn't eat right today, or maybe we didn't read, maybe we didn't do what we needed to do. But the great thing about a to-do list is you kind of get confirmation bias with it. Like you can go back and say, hey, I did get something done today, right? And that boosts your confidence because it shows you that you're actually completing stuff. But for me, it's really because if I don't have it, I'll be chasing squirrels. Seriously, like I'll be lost without it. Like for me, it is my list of where I put all my to-dos. And it may be something as simple as, every day on my to-do list, even though I exercise every single day, I write exercise on my to-do list every single day, every day.
right.
And I mark it off with a highlighter every day, because then I know, even though I've ingrained that discipline in me, that is my look at every day. Like, what are all the things that I'm getting done during the day? Like, how am I making these things happen?
Doesn't it feel good when you check them off too?
100%.
And
What highlighters?
so this is my system that I created a long time ago. It's just from journaling, and I keep them. And sometimes I go back, and it's like, yeah, I can't believe how much stuff I actually got done.
Yeah, and it feels good, right? Because
Oh yeah.
you're like, hey,
You need some kind of benchmark, right?
right, right.
And so I have a coach. He's helping me scale my business, and we're doing stuff that we never did before, like KPIs, keeping track of all these numbers.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, everyone should have this kind of stuff,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because I don't know about you. You're a solopreneur or
Yeah, I am right
okay.
now. I just partnered up with a firm that does similar to what you're working with your coach. They do scaling and helping businesses
Okay.
move up.
But so what we do a lot of, in fact, I want to invite you, and because you might be a good presenter in my mastermind group. We meet every Saturday at 2 o'clock. We meet for 90 minutes. We do training, we play games, we network. But the whole purpose is to try to get us connected.
Right.
And because where I'm going with this is we're solopreneurs, we can beat ourselves up,
100%.
right?
Hmm.
And so when you have other people just doing something like a mastermind, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a woman in our group, Luana Parker. She's a journal coach. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I never heard of a journal coach, but I think it's great.
Mhm.
So now, how else do you slay a day besides just having a
Well,
to-do?
you just said that journal to me right now, which is a piece that I talk about because I talk about these 7 habits that I incorporate in my day. And do I do all of them every single day? No, because we're busy people, right? It's hard to get it all in. But I do have some that I am very disciplined about, like one of which I read every single day. I talk about this in my book, even being kind of a pivotal moment for me back in 2018 when I was sitting in a conference and, I had success in my businesses. I did very well, but I was really unhappy. I wasn't happy with the way things were going. And I remember the speaker, coming up to the front of the room and talking about, if you're familiar with John Maxwell, I love him. Great speaker. I love his books. They're very short, sweet. But she got up there and she said, hey, if you do these 5 things in your life for 1 year, your life will never be the same. And I remember sitting in my chair with my arms crossed, being like, okay, I have been in the network marketing space for 17 years. I have been around mentors, affirmations, journaling, all of this, and it's gone in 1 ear and out the other. What are you going to tell me today that's any different? But something she said caught my attention because I was in a very low moment where I said, hey, look, I don't like where I'm going. I've got to change something. If you don't like what you're doing, you've got to change something, right? You can't keep doing the
Right.
same thing and expect different results. So that particular day, I remember sitting there thinking, okay, I know how to book, I know how to sell, I know how to coach, I know how to team build. What am I not doing? I exercise every day. I cured this nerve condition. What am I not doing? So that day I decided that I was going to start reading because I hated to read. If it wasn't something I could catch on a TV program in view, I wasn't going to do it. And so that was kind of a turning point for me. And pretty much every day since that day, I have continued to read. And so I talk about expanding the mind, making that a priority every day, to listen to podcasts or, read something, do something that is going to get you thinking outside of the box, something that's going to inspire you to do action. So expanding the mind, you said journaling, you were talking about the journaling. I'm big on the whole gratitude journaling and collecting wins, when you have that reflection time, because so often we get hung up on all the negatives in life. Like I said earlier, what we didn't get done, right? What we didn't do. But how hard is it to sit down and go, hey, I met this amazing person today. Check. That was a win for the day. Or I had this incredible meeting today. Check.
Can I show you something here?
Yes,
Because
show me.
see what this says?
Win cards.
I took different times in my life. Is that upside down?
I see it. Yes.
Baseball games where I hit a home run, having my kids. Most of these are baseball.
I love it.
But I did this. I said, you know what? I want to do something with this. I want to monetize it. So you just brought it up to. I've had it here for years on my desk, and I have. This is my mini business journal.
I love it.
So and this isn't. We didn't plan this. Like I said, we never spoke, but
Right.
it's amazing. I think we're on the same. We're on the same page here, right?
Yeah, well, and Joe, and what's so neat about this is that, if you think about being in business, so often, like people, they are trying to fix one part of their life. They may be trying to fix their business. They may be trying, and we're obviously talking business, but usually, we have different areas of our life and we may be very successful in one and one's falling apart, right? Like our relationships, maybe our health, something's lagging. And what happens is we think, okay, well, if I get better, and my health gets better, my business gets better, all things are well, right? When that's not the case, right? We find ourselves in a spiral. And so what I tell people is when you work on bettering yourself, getting better at all the things you're doing for you, all the things on the outside flow more freely. You don't have to work as hard. You become better at communicating, better at selling, better at your health. All of those things come together. And it's almost like you become, I don't know, you get your mojo, you get to work a little more effortlessly in life. You know what I'm saying? And so I think you just look at things differently. And that was the big thing for me was that when I started recognizing these patterns and I started changing the way my focus was, let's not work on, let me get better at running a marathon. I did run marathons. Let me get better at that. No, I'm going to work on Jennifer, work on the way she's thinking, her headspace, what she's focusing on, and let those things flow into my life a little more freely. So that's the importance of it all.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, I keep thinking about, for some reason, that Rocky speech where he told his son, you know, nothing's going to hit you harder than life,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And you know, I've taken some blows the last couple of years with relationships, with my business, and a lot of good things too.
Mhm. Right.
But you know, again, how do you stay on course?
Well,
You
start.
know, we're talking about,
Yeah,
okay, so I read Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of
good.
Highly Successful
Good.
People, The Thick of Thin Things. You know, yeah, he's still in my brain.
Awesome. Awesome.
But
Well, that's what I said. I think it has to start with, you have to focus on these 7 habits. Make sure every day you're writing that to-do list. Make sure you're
okay,
reading
okay,
every day.
hold on. This is what I want. This is the meat and the potatoes. So
Yes. Meat and
seven habits.
potatoes. 7 habits I talk about. I'm going to give them to you really quick. These are my
Okay, go
7
ahead.
habits. So, number 1, get that to-do list every day. And on that to-do list, you need to have in there a couple things. You need to have, if you're focusing on your business, make sure there's one important thing in there every day that's going to move you forward to your goal. Whatever the goal is. I don't know what that is. If you're going to run a marathon, if you're going to, increase your sales in your business, whatever that is, make sure there's one important thing in there that you're going to get done every single day that's in that area of the goal. Because we get hung up on the hows, right? We got the big goal. We get hung up on the hows. We don't know how the hows are
Right,
going to come. But if you're
right,
doing one thing, that's going to get you there. So that, number 1, make sure also on that to-do list, any important personal development you're doing gets on there. So if reading is part of that, get it on there so that you make sure you're doing it. Because what gets written down gets done. If you just think about it, ain't probably going to
really.
happen. Yeah. And then second habit I do every day is the expand your mind, which is going to be the reading or whatever podcast, whatever you're doing to expand the mind. Then I have in there my gratitude and reflection, which is going to be, like I said, wins for the day. What are you thankful for? This can be a 30-second project, like right before you go to bed, like, hey, how was my day? I had this happen. Okay.
Okay.
Then I talk about exercising, taking care of the body. What are you doing physically every day, and how are you taking care of yourself? That's my 4th. What are we on, 4?
Yep.
I'm like, I got 7. Where are my other ones? One of them is flow. Flow is, what are you doing in your life that you enjoy doing? That can be once a week. What are you doing that you love to do? And hopefully, if you have a business, you're doing what you love every day, right? But not everybody gets to do that because they may be working a job they don't like. So what are you doing in your life that you love? And that, it could be playing golf, pianoing, whatever that is, what you love. Who are you connecting with is one. And that's your mastermind that you just talked about. Who are you connecting with every week? You got to have some way of connecting, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't really understand the power of networking. I work with so many of them, and they just don't really understand. They're like, well, why would I bother doing that? And they don't even understand, why would they bother connecting with other entrepreneurs, even in their field? And I have to always come back and say, why would you not? Because when you're building relationships, you don't know where that's going to take you. I've had so many opportunities come from just having a conversation with somebody that I had no intentions to do business with,
Yeah.
So the networking. And then there's one more piece, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is. There's one more piece to this. Affirmations and mantras. Affirmations and mantras. What is your power statement for you? And then what is your affirmations? Because a lot of people don't take the time to write those down. They're like, oh, I got them in my head. No, those have to be written down. You have to see them every day. You have to see them every day.
Yeah, I believe that.
I could tell you a story about an affirmation that I did, and how I found out it came true later. It's a good story.
Okay. Good.
So 2018, I wrote an affirmation. This is when I was at that event I told you about, when I started reading, the day that I had that pivotal moment. Went home, did an affirmation. There were 5 things on that affirmation. One of them was to be an author. One of them was to be a speaker. One of them was to be a coach. The other one was like have a beach house. And I can't remember what the other one. I looked at that affirmation probably for about 4 to 5 months, because I went through a coaching program. I had it in the middle of my mirror, like when I'd have to put my makeup on. So I had to see it every day. I read it 3 times every single day. I pulled it off my mirror, tucked it away. Fast forward to October of 2019. I was coaching an individual by the name of Sandy. While I was on the phone with her, I stumbled on it because it was in my notebook, and I pulled it out and I said, Sandy, you're not going to believe this. I just found affirmation that I had written in 2018 in January, and 3 of the things on that affirmation had come to pass. And by this point, I had even launched a podcast that wasn't even on my affirmation at the time. So just to show you the power of having those tools in front of you every single day, just making sure
No,
they're there every day.
I believe it. I did what I did was Napoleon Hill's definite chief aim
I love it.
and that that's what's on the I'm still doing it today 12 years later. And it sends chills down my spine because I said I was going to be a speaker, I was going to write, and just like you said, all that stuff is happening.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
happening right now. It just happened this podcast. Think about it. I wrote that I was going to reach millions of people.
It's awesome.
I didn't think about how, and now we're on Zoom, Facebook. It's so easy to reach millions of people now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before it was like you don't think about how is it going to happen, right? You just say that this is going to happen. It's happening, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing with those habits are a lot of times when I find people are not moving forward. I mean, there's a whole, like I said, a whole nother conversation on limiting beliefs. That's like a whole nother podcast we could have, because sometimes I have to tap into that and really get into what are these blocks that are in the way. But I will tell you from working with people, a lot of times when they're not moving forward, it's because there's pieces in here that I've just given you out of those habits they're not working on. There's pieces, maybe they're doing some of them, but they're not doing all of them, or they're not consistent with them. They're doing them when they're convenient. You see what I'm saying? Like they'll say,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I'll read when I find time because I don't have time. I got to do emails right now. And I say to them, no, those 7 habits need to be a priority above everything else, because when you get good at focusing on those 7 habits, all the other work you're trying to do is going to be a lot easier.
Absolutely. So my friend Tim is watching. Hey, Tim, sorry, I was trying to make your mastermind, but I didn't. Sorry about that. I did have something to ask you, but I lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
The mindset. Okay, so this is what happens in my business, which may or may not be surprising. I sort of like coach people. I don't have a formal coaching program. I didn't enjoy really doing the one-on-one that much. I did it with a couple of people, but just trying to help them get their business off the ground. And a lot of them can't because they have issues with money. Okay. I had my own issues. I hired a coach, Tim knows her, Marianne Amon, a long time ago. And, I'm an accountant.
Right.
What do you mean I have issues? But I did it. It started, from when I was a child.
Yeah.
But I've had to like literally fire clients because they just could not like take the next step.
Yeah.
Something as simple as figuring out what name they wanted for their business. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, just pick a name. What?
Right.
But
Right.
we have all these kinds of blocks, right?
Yes. Yes.
But that's a whole nother podcast. You
It
said.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. Let's schedule that because
Yeah. And you're right, though. It starts from when we are young. It's they talk about how we form these ideas, because even me, I had issues around money too. It's just the fear of, am I worthy enough to ask for the money? Like, am I worthy enough to take what I'm worth? Right. And those stem from when we're younger because of things we heard, like money doesn't grow on trees. We've all heard that, right? Like you can't have everything on a silver platter. We get all these ideas that form into our head. And so, yeah, they play out into our business.
yeah, absolutely. So, okay, another question that I had a while ago and I forgot, but now I remembered. So, I read this thing. I think it was the Harvard Business Review. Yeah, I read a lot, and it was about how successful people deal with things that happen in their life, and that what they said was they know how to compartmentalize it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if you're about to go on stage? So one of my friends is Craig Duswalt. He toured with Guns N' Roses, and I asked him this. I said, "What if Axl just really doesn't feel like he's up to it? You know, the concert is scheduled, right?
Right.
What if something terrible happens right before? How do they deal with that?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of compartmentalizing things. I'm
Oh
good at
yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, I can do that. I mean, I have to do that. I've had to do that many times jumping on the show. I'm sure you have too. I get on my podcast and my kid's calling me, and I had one episode where he called me and told me my computer crashed and I lost all my files. I mean, like right as I'm walking in the door, he's like, "All your videos are gone, Mom, and I can't get them back." And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
yeah, I'm like, let me breathe. I just need to breathe. So, but
Okay.
I think that comes from having, and you probably you can agree to this. I think that comes from having gone through adversity. You learned how to start coping and recognizing, something I heard a long time ago in one of the companies I was in. I remember this was back when I was super shy and very cynical and negative. I remember every week I'd walk into this meeting and the director that was there at the time would say, "How are you doing?" And I would say, "I'm okay." Or "I'm fine." And she'd say, "No, you're great." And it used to annoy me. It would make me so mad because I'd be like, "I'm not great. I'm irritated. I don't even want to be here today." But I understood the power in that. And what she used to say is, "Look, your problems are going to be there when you walk out the door. You might as well come in and have a great time. And when you walk out, you can take care of your mess." And so I've kind of always adopted the idea that, listen, the stuff is going to be there, right? We're going to always have to go through things, and we have to learn to weather through that. And the more that we push through this adversity and learn these coping skills, and again, that could be a whole nother conversation, the better we get at dealing with them. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, when you say that, I mean, I think there's plenty of times in our lives where we have to learn to do that compartmentalization. We just do it over and over and we get better. It's like everything
Yeah.
else.
Well, I think what Craig told me was it's practice. You just keep doing it enough times.
Yes,
It's like second nature then, right? So
absolutely.
listen, oh wow, we're almost at
Yeah.
half an hour. I like to keep these to like 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
yeah, we have a lot more to talk about. So any words of wisdom, and then how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I always say, if you want to do something, never take advice from anybody that you wouldn't trade places with. Find somebody who's been where you want to be, and that's who you talk to, right? And that's my big words.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, you can find me easily at my name, which I'm sure you'll have this all tagged on it. But it's just jenniferloading.com. That'll take you to everything.
Okay, awesome. And we will download this episode. We'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll send you a link. Thank you so much. But we're going to have a couple more
Yeah.
uh, episodes. All right, entrepreneurs, that's our story. We're sticking with it. Thank you. God bless. And we will see you again.